Good morning, Mr. President and Chairman of Mountain Man Brewing Company, as well as the board. I'd like to thank you all for allowing us to take some time out of your schedule to discuss the future of Mountain Man Brewing Company. My name is Jared Snedeker. Working with me is Andrew Knoll, David Workman, Jesse Campano, and Monica Grabowski. We've got some serious headwinds in the brewing industry. Specifically, year-over-year revenue has been down 2% for the national brewers, as there's been a decline in the consumption of U.S. beer per capita. We've got significant pressures from the large multinationals, and our demographic of beer drinkers has been aging. On top of that has been a growth in the light beer segment. The question we have before us is, should Mountain Man Brewing Company combat these declining revenues by creating a new product and offering Mountain Man Light? This isn't a decision that we take lightly, and I know there are serious concerns from the president and the board. I'd like to quote our own president and owner of Mountain Man Brewing Company, Oscar Pragnell. He said, "Mountain Man's still standing because we manufacture an exceptional beer with great brand name. We never lost sight of our core customer, and we've never been seduced by the other guy's market." Now, with this presentation, I hope we can convince you that we still want to make the best beer made in America, an exceptional beer, and we want to maintain our great brand name. We believe we can expand to a light beer because our customer is demanding it, and the next generation of customer is expecting it. We're not looking to be something that we aren't. We're looking to grow what we are. Now, this is a difficult decision. There are some pros and there's some cons. And I'd like to start off with some of the pros, and in particular, the big one is to combat our declining revenue. We have an ability here to leverage our existing facilities, our underutilized facilities, and by entering this market, we could appeal to first-time drinkers. We could appeal to the wives and the girlfriends and the children of our traditional Mountain Man customer. We want to keep the family that we still have. We want to appeal to the larger family. Now, this could come at risk of cannibalizing the traditional Mountain Man lager. We could potentially dilute our brand equity, and potentially, if we do it wrong, we could alienate our customer base. We understand this. We know that light beer is also a little more expensive to produce. There'd be some new SG&A costs, and we'd be competing against some of the biggest names in the industry. If you take a look at the profile of who's drinking our beer today, predominantly it's men. We've got 81% of our beer drinkers are men, and the age of those folks is centered around the 45 to 54-year-old mark. We've got an aging demographic, and we're only tapping into about half the beer market. Now, what we do well is we're able to tap into all income groups within our market. You compare us to some of the other national brands or types. We've got the domestic light beer group commanding really a pretty close to even split between men and women. Domestic premium beer is mainly men drinking that. The Mountain Man Lager, like we said, 81% male population drinking our beer. Now, when you look at some of the first-time drinkers, the 21 to 24-year-olds, as well as the early beer drinkers, the 25 to 34-year-olds, you can see that a large portion of them are drinking light beer and not drinking Mountain Man Lager. This is a very large market of beer drinkers, and the taste that they acquire now is going to set them up for a lifetime. You look at the income, household income, you can see the Mountain Man Lager, like we said before, is pretty evenly split. And the domestic premium beer as well. Light beer, though, again, you can see those the lower income groups really move into the light beers. Now the difficult part. You look at the trends for the last 6 years. You see the premium beer as well as the more popular beers, your big multinationals, have been declining for the last 6 years. Where light beer and the super premium imported beer have been growing. You look at the trends in beer and the light beer competition. Really, it's the big names out there, the Bushes, the Miller, and Coors really own this market. And I think there's an untapped demand there for some of the smaller brewers like ourselves to get in and establish a foothold. You look at the best-selling beers in America in general, look at the names in the top 10. More than half of them are light beer. Bud and Bud Light, Miller Light, Coors Light, Natural Light, Mick Ultra, Busch Light. There's no surprise here in what's going on. Light beers are taking over, and there's a good reason for that. People are more concerned with the drunk driving epidemic, and you can have a light beer or two and still be able to drive. Folks are trying to do more, be more active, be healthier, and light beer plays into that lifestyle. We look at the economics of Mountain Man Lager and the break-even point. If we were to go and create this Mountain Man Light, we believe that by 2010, we'll be generating $4.5 million in extra income that we otherwise wouldn't have had. The break-even analysis, if we were to maintain the status quo, you can see year over year declines in income, starting with $3.1 million in 2005, down to $2.8 in 2010. And we just got to expect this trend to continue if we maintain the status quo, as our beer drinkers get older, and we're not attracting the younger, new clientele. If we were to assume that Mountain Man Light were to cannibalize our Mountain Man traditional lager, you can see that decline for the traditional is a little more steep, dropping to $2.4 million in income in 2010. And then if we look at the more pessimistic view and assume a 20% loss of sales, we really start eating into the income of the traditional Mountain Man Lager. And by 2010, we'll be down to $1 million in income. Now, as bad as that looks, when you add the 20% loss in sales with the additional income that we're going to be generating by creating Mountain Man Light, you can see that very quickly this turns into a profitable venture. In 2 years, we expect to see our income levels grow to the point that this is going to be profitable for us, that this will make sense. Again, we're not trying to be something that we're not. We make an exceptional beer, and we believe that we can make an exceptional light beer because our customers demand it. Sometimes you need to work a little longer and play a little harder, and Mountain Man Light can support those goals and that lifestyle. Thank you for your time.